Greetings, my fellow Star Wars enthusiasts. My name is Jason Amare, and this is Star Wars Breakdown. Now, I'm actually making this video as I'm driving to work. It's Monday, May 22nd, I think. And last night on a Star Wars fan page, I'm not going to say what fan page, and I'm not going to say who posted it and who I'm referencing in the comments, but somebody posted a post about how it was like a half picture of Snoke and half picture of Darth Bane, saying that the world's going to go nuts or people are going to go crazy when it's revealed that Snoke is Bane. And there was a lot of negative comments saying that Bane's dead, this and that, it can't be him, blah, 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 blah. And then a lot of people were just talking about how cool Bane is. Now, I want to reference that post in particular. And my point to referencing it is and I'm going to try to be as nice as I can, but I know I'm not going to be that nice, is I'm tired of how fucking stupid people are, because there was a comment that someone said, Bane's dead, watch the Clone Wars. And I'm wondering if they're referencing the one and only scene that they show Darth Bane. And that is when Yoda goes to the Force Priestesses and he's on like a mission and he has to like pass a bunch of tests to learn how to become a Force ghost upon his death. In one of his tests, he's tempted by the dark side of himself, and he has to go and in one of the other tests, he's confronted by what we believe to be the spirit of Darth Bane. But we have to remember, people, then you have to use your fucking common sense that he was an apparition created by the Force Priestesses. That's now, I could be wrong. Maybe there's, I'll be corrected in the future, but as of right now, there's no confirmation that that was his actual full-blown spirit. So you got to remember that these Force Priestesses just created Bane. Now, you could also argue the same thing that I just said, that Bane never even existed. There could be a completely fictional character and description and apparition by the Force Priestesses just to test Yoda. Perhaps Darth Bane did exist, looked nothing like that. Yoda just assumed that that is what he looked like, or a manifestation of what he looked like, or maybe that was his dark side energy in physical form and it just came out like that. Now, I only say this because in Legends, he looked nothing like that. He looked more like a samurai soldier in the only scene that we saw him in the Clone Wars. And in his regular Legends material, he was either bald, wore a hood, or he had that, I can't even describe the texture of that helmet, but you get what I'm saying. It looked a lot different than he did in the Clone Wars. Now, speaking of the Clone Wars, I'd like to reference a deleted scene from the Mortis arc, when the son of Mortis is bowing down to two entities, and he's begging them to tell them who he is. Now, we know that in this deleted scene that never made the full animation, that was Darth Bane and Darth Revan. And this is where it gets interesting, because you need to think about that scene and the creators of the Clone Wars, who are the creators of Rebels. And right when Disney purchased Lucasfilm, they said, okay, the Clone Wars, done. New show coming, and they immediately started writing The Force Awakens. Now, you could easily say that Dave Filoni has never used that material because it was deleted and hence it doesn't exist, it's not canon, yada yada yada. But when a creator writes something, when I write something, when I come up with an idea, it doesn't just go away, regardless of what else I hear or what else I think about. It's always in the back of my mind, and sometimes it influences and manipulates my next theory or my next thought, because something doesn't add up, but it does, it's similar. And now that I'm rambling a little too much, I want to get back to the basics. That deleted scene from the Clone Wars, we see Darth Bane and Darth Revan speaking to the son of Mortis, and I want to go over what they say. In it, they say something along the lines, I might get it wrong, I'm sorry, I'm trying to think back. I've only seen the clip a few times, but I remember it enough to not want to look it up and search it and all that shit, and I'm also driving. But in it, they reference that they are the ones who've come before, meaning in time, I'm guessing. They are the ones that have been betrayed, they are the ones that are angry or some shit like that, and then they say, we are the ones that wield the dark side. Now, you could actually think about that line in particular. They obviously had actors come in who read the scripts for those. Now, who's to say it wouldn't be changed later in the final editing, but the line specifically says we are the ones who wield, not have weld, or whatever past tense for wield is. Does that mean they're alive? Because as far as I know from The Empire Strikes Back, I'm pretty sure Obi-Wan said he couldn't get involved when Luke met Vader, and I don't know the exact canon definition or explanation for this, but I'm pretty sure Force ghosts can't just jump in and attack and fight, living beings. Usually in Legends, and we can only go by the Force ghosts in for Yoda, Qui-Gon, Anakin, and Obi-Wan as canon Force ghosts, I believe. But in Legends, typically spirits, whether they're light or dark side, usually haunt a location, whether it's their tomb, whether it's a temple or something along those lines. So my point is Darth Bane alive if he's referring to wielding the dark side? Now, right after that, Darth Revan and Darth Bane, because they're speaking simultaneously, it's like they're both just reading off the same cue cards or whatever, but they both say that the Chosen One is the key. Whoever controls Skywalker controls the universe. The fucking universe, not the galaxy, which is what everyone's fighting over control of, will control the fucking universe. Now again, maybe the writers screwed this up, maybe they would have edited that in the future when the episode went to final animation or whatever, but they're referencing whoever controls Skywalker controls the fucking universe, and I want you to think now to Snoke and The Force Awakens. Snoke's number one agenda seemed to be finding Skywalker. Now you could use that's just coincidence, or they want to kill him, this and that, but you also got to think about this. What if... But then you have to think about the fact that what if he just let everything happen over the next 1,000 years happen because he knew it would be the Chosen One who would destroy the Sith and destroy the Jedi? Because in Return of the Jedi, we now have all the Jedi are ceased to exist. There's only Luke Skywalker living after his father, Anakin Skywalker, is redeemed and comes back to the light side. Now, I know the Chosen One is not Luke, or it can be argued that it might be Luke, but for the most part, it's Anakin Skywalker. But if you can control the son of the Chosen One, maybe he's just as good in this whole grand scheme of things. So my point is, what if Bane was sitting back for the last 1,000 years waiting for his vision, or someone's vision, of Vader doing what he did in Return of the Jedi, knowing that now, presumably the last and only, because it's believed canon and, or it's assumed that canon and Ezra aren't going to survive Rebels, we might very well see that Luke Skywalker is the only living Force user or practicing Force user in the known galaxy after Return of the Jedi. If that's the case, then that is the time they would come out of hiding, and guess who the fuck came out of hiding then? Supreme Leader Snoke. Now, before everyone gets a little too butthurt over this video, I'm not saying this because I absolutely believe it. I read things and I interpret things and I'm like, oh, it's possible. It's also possible that Plagueis, who can manipulate midichlorians and, cheat death, has come back. It's also possible that any other asshole in Legends who has learned how to become a Force ghost or a Force spirit, or stretch their life like Valkorian, excuse me, or even Revan, who lived hundreds of years and he was just a human. So Snoke could fucking be anyone, but this video is to show that he could be Darth Bane. You can call it. It's just me going over the actual known facts to the best I can while I'm driving to work. But I want to know what everyone thinks. Do you actually think that this deleted scene, which is something that the creators of Rebels, who created that show, had in the back of their mind and maybe never went away, and that maybe when Lucasfilm was purchased by Disney, they said, hey, we had this whole idea, and then Disney said, yes, that's where we're going with it, and they immediately wrote the script upon canceling the Clone Wars for The Force Awakens. I mean, it kind of fits, you know, this being coming out of hiding. Physically, he looks like Darth Bane, both bald and pale and whatever. So, I want to know what everyone thinks. The argument that he could be a different species, well, we don't know what species Bane is, according to canon. As far as I know, they never reference him being a human in the Clone Wars, so he could be freaking Mun, he could be, you know, a Bith, but... So, yeah, that's the theory, if you want to call it that, in a nutshell. So, again, do your thing, people. You know what the fuck to do, okay? I really don't care if you give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. I'm not saying theories based on what I believe. I'm just presenting the facts that when someone argues that Bane's dead, blah, 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 we don't know that for sure because technically we never even saw his Force ghost, his living, you know, form, and we never saw, yeah, technically we saw a tomb, but I can't read Sith writing, so unless someone could do that breakdown code like they did from the fucking Last Jedi and see what those symbols on his tomb say, perhaps it is his tomb. But then again, you can argue the fact that he can come back to life like any other asshole. So remember to stay kind to one another. Life is too short to hold grudges. There's too much hate in this world. I think we should all be a little more kind to one another. But seriously, may the Force be with you. May the Force of others be with you. And may the Force of you be with others. Until next time, I'll catch you on the flip side.